it's really rough out on the streets, and the community that we build gives people a sense of belonging.
Some of the singers have gone on to join the group's performance ensemble, which performs throughout LA. The singers are even changing perspectives on Skid Row. Instead of reaching out for help, they're reaching out to help others with joy and music.
You can find healing, you can find wellness, you can find utter joy and love.
Sometimes the people here even sing to each other.
It will never be that moment again. The emotion and how everybody was just, everybody was in unison, and it was just beautiful. Everything was just perfect.
I've always had trouble looking at people in the eyes. That's why that was moving to me, looking into someone else's eyes, and then also singing to someone else. Like, I'm letting you inside.
The Urban Voices Project, making people feel better, one voice at a time.
The Urban Voices Project is expanding to other places like MLK Hospital in South LA, the Central Library, and Venice. For more information, visit urbanvoicesproject.org. Want to be an engineer? How about one for the city of Los Angeles? An engineering contest luring some of LA's best and brightest young people aims to build a bridge to their future careers. Gil Reyes has more.
Just how much pressure can these bridges and the kids who've built them withstand? We're about to find out in this engineering competition with school pride and a trip to the finals at stake.
For several weeks, students toiled after school and on weekends to make their miniature wooden bridges as shatterproof as possible. All for this, LA's 18th annual Bridge Building Contest. It's sponsored by the city's Bureau of Engineering.
Well, the main category is the bridge's efficiency. That's how much weight it's able to hold over how much the bridge weighs. And that determines who will go to the international contest.
Tough break for most of the kids. 5 LA high schools are competing, but only the first and second place teams advance to the finals in Baltimore. No matter who wins, LA City hopes to come out on top.
This is exactly what we want to do, get an open and early start for engineers to look into this career as their goal, as their major, as their future, and then come back to the city of LA and work for the city of LA as public servants, but in an engineer capacity.
I decided to stick with it because I know that it'll help me decide what I want to do, and I know since engineering's on my options of career that I would want to pursue.
Student Angelica Rios should know the city is hiring more women and people of color.
The trend has been changing pretty good. So lately we have hired more than 50% of the engineers who are female. So this is a great start for us.
Congratulations to first place winners Arleta High School. They are pumped to be headed to the finals in April.
I saw the results up there. I just lost it.
A little celebration with friends, and then it's off to the international competition and an all-expenses-paid trip to Maryland. Hopefully LA can bring home the gold.
Congratulations to second place team Los Angeles High School. They're also headed to the finals. The students were mentored by workers at the Bureau of Engineering to help create their projects. Get ready to get fit. New exercise equipment at the Green Meadows Recreation Center is giving residents a chance to get their hearts pumping while improving their overall health.
This has been a long time coming, and the community is really excited that today is the day that we get a chance to unveil the exercise equipment here at Green Meadows Recreation Center.
We're so excited to have this fitness center here for our community residents, both young and old, so they can stay fit and healthy.
of course, it's going to be very useful, and I would love to invite everybody in the community, all the people that know this park, to come along and use this exercise equipment.
Come on down.
Come on down.
Join us. Many more.
Get your motor running at a European car show, enjoy live bands and food trucks at the annual Off Sunset Festival, and get your weekend started with a classic disco vibe. All this and things to do. The 8th annual European Car Show returns to the Miracle Mile with #Euro19. This one-day event for car enthusiasts will feature European automobiles of all makes and models, old and new, from Audi to Volvo. Don't miss #Euro19, happening at the Peterson Automotive Museum on 6060 Wilshire Boulevard. The show starts at 9 a.m. on Sunday, March 31st. For tickets, visit eventbrite.com. It's costume fun with an LGBT twist at the 7th annual Off Sunset Festival. Come enjoy live bands, gourmet food trucks, specialty beers, and lots of leather gear at this premier LA Leather Street Fair. It's all happening Sunday, March 31st, beginning at noon. The festival is located at Sunset Junction on 4219 Santa Monica Boulevard. For details, visit offsunsetfestival.com. Get into the groove with the World 70 Party, one of LA's most popular dance events. Join guest DJ Selwyn Hines as he drops your favorite Afrobeat, salsa, reggae, classic disco, and more. It's all happening at World 70 for one night only, Friday, March 29th, beginning at 9 p.m. The party kicks off at the Library Bar in the Mayfair Hotel, located at 1256 West 7th Street. RSVP for your free tickets at eventbrite.com. And that's a look at some things to do. Prom season is an exciting time for many high school students, but for some students whose families are facing financial hardships, the costs can sometimes be more than they can afford. That's why the LA City Attorney's Office, along with the LAPD, have stepped in to help out.
My office, the City Attorney's Office, coordinated with LAPD to host a prom closet. All of the merchandise that we have here, it's mostly brand new. Some are gently used, and they're generously donated by various shops throughout the city. So what we really try to do is transform this community room into a boutique. They don't feel like these dresses, these suits are being given to them. They feel like they're shopping for an outfit like any other high schooler would. Before we started this project, we saw that there were similar projects throughout the country, but most of them really only served girls when the boys have a really great need as well. A lot of these kids, it's their first time wearing a suit, wearing a tie. You see these kids come in and they're so grateful for being able to participate in this.
I feel like every girl is just, as soon as she hears prom, she starts thinking of the first dress she's gonna put on and imagining in her head how it's gonna picture. Spending a lot of money on senior year is not really an option, so finding resources like this is really great.
This is a very expensive cost for at this time of year. A lot of kids forego their proms because they can't afford it, whether they can't buy a dress or can't buy a suit. And us being able to provide them that lightens the load for the parents and for the kids.
I'm a single mom, and so any help that I can get, it helps. So I'm appreciative of this whole program.
The important part is for a lot of these kids who grow up in communities where maybe there's a little bit of a distrust of law enforcement or they're not familiar with law enforcement, this helps them have positive interactions with police officers. They're coming to the station, they're interacting with them, they're teaching them how to tie ties, so you can imagine how this stays with them for years to come.
Police officers are supposed to, protect the streets and everything, but offering free resources for prom is just the extra mile that they go to help us and support us.
Watching kids come in, find a dress, it makes them so happy. Leaving just in tears that they were able to get that. So that's a really big it pulls on your heartstrings. And for us to be able to bring that to the community, it's big.
That's it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time for more of LA This Week.
Sergeants, I need a few members Good. Good morning. Good morning. Today, shh. If everyone could please find a seat, take a seat. Today is Friday, March 29th. I want to welcome all of you to City Hall, to this council chambers. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. The public is welcome. So again, welcome to each and every one of you. Madam Clerk, we have a quorum. Would you call the roll?
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Harris Dawson, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rodriguez, Rue, Smith, Wesson. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Smith moves, Wesson seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Koretz moves, Cedillo seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, item 1 is an item noticed for public hearing.
Do you have cards on this item?
Yes, there are cards.
Okay, let's hold that and continue.
Items 2 through 6 are items for which public hearings have been held. The Transportation Committee report for item 3 has been submitted, posted, and circulated for council's consideration. Additionally, there is a request to refer item 6 back to the Rules, Elections, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee.
Okay, so ordered, and let's now prepare to vote on the remaining items. If you'd please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you very much. That brings us where?
And Mr. President, the ordinance for item 2 will be carried over 1 week unless reconsidered with 12 members present.
Okay, well, we may hit that mark. So when we do, and if we do, please remind me. All right, so that brings us where?
And that takes council back to presentations. Are items called special or general public comment?
Okay, Mr. Buscaino, if I could have you fill in for a moment, please.
Help me welcome Council President Herb Wesson for a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I want to ask my special guest to come up here and join me, and maybe you can bring a member of your... You want to bring your nephews or your mom and dad, whoever you'd like, we could do that. You know, can't say enough about Miss Martinez and with the new addition of Miss Rodriguez and all of the things that we do to recognize the very, very, very important women, not only in this city of LA, but throughout the world. And as we come to an end of Women's History Month, I have a very special person that I would like to present to you. The only thing that is bad, if I could say that, is that we have so many phenomenal people in this great city that we just can't do enough for them, and we just can't say enough for them, about them. So today I have a young lady with me named Brenda Gutierrez, who organized, well, give her a round of applause. You know, usually we get up here and we say, well, she lives in my district. Because of everything that you've done, I live in your district. This young lady organized the first Me Too Survivors March in the Hollywood area, bringing awareness to individuals that are victims and survivors from domestic violence and sexual abuse. The very first march she had, I believe she had Miss Burke, who started the Me Too movement, at her side. This young lady was probably born to be an activist, born to be a game changer. Because at the age of 12, when a lot of us, myself included, I was playing stickball on the streets and watching cartoons, she was becoming an activist. She went to an animal rights rally, and that really got her started when she saw the way that these poor animals were treated. And this council's on record as being very supportive of all kinds of animals. She was only 13 years old. 2 years after that, she found herself a victim, a survivor of sexual violence, and had struggled with post-traumatic syndrome. Struggled with that for years, but once she got her life balanced, she began to spend her time helping other people who had experienced these kinds of issues. She is a woman who has yet to meet a cause that she didn't like. She has been on the forefront where it relates to health care being a right, not a privilege. She has fought for the rights of immigrants, fought for Mr. O'Farrell, the respect for indigenous people. Fought for the LGBT community. And one of my personal favorites, she recognizes the need of having a serious conversation about starting a public bank, a bank that puts people first and not profits. Not that long ago, she found out that she has cancer. And she is in the middle of her own personal battle. And even though she's going through her treatment, she still finds time to go out and do the things that are important to her, working with so many organizations, trying to connect them so that collectively they can deliver the services that the people of this city want, need, and expect. And I want you to give a round of applause because her folks are here, her nephews are here. Dear colleagues, it is my pleasure to present to you Brenda Gutierrez. You see, she brought a couple of friends with her today.
First off, I just want to, recognize my siblings on this side. I see you, and I'm always here for all of you. Also, as an Indigenous woman, recognizing that we are on stolen land, and our Quiche Tonga land. I don't even know where to begin. I'm so grateful for my family and my friends. Although I always was doing something to make some kind of change as I was younger, as a teenager, trying to be vegan as a teenager, where there's not that many options as there are now. But it was 2 years ago when I was here, and although I've been active for a long time, I had never really spoken at City Council, and I really just want to thank Rob Kwan over here for pushing me to do that first public comment for the LA Justice Fund. And after that, it was just always being here. When I did see the Me Too post and I shared it, later that day I just saw my Facebook just flooded with Me Too's. And I recognized how often we go without talking about this issue, how often we push it under the rug, how it affects our LGBTQ community, how it affects our homeless community, how it affects our elderly, our children, women of color. It just are missing. There's the whole crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women that we also don't talk about. So for me, coming up with having a Me Too Survivors March, it was about the survivors. It was about giving a voice to those that oftentimes feel alone and feel that they can't speak out about this. It was about not just having a rally or a march, but it was about having resources there to make sure that they left with resources, not just for them, but for their family members as well. It's been definitely two years of high and ups, but I am extremely grateful to have this support system here, to have someone that has always been there at my darkest moments and higher up. I definitely going to thank Marco Flores for being there for me, and just my entire family, my American Indian Movement family as well, my Me Too family, who I don't know what I would do without all of you. I'm so grateful to have every single one of you here, and I just don't have enough words to thank my family, because everyone here is my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Mr. Wesson, we have one speaker on the queue. I'd like to now recognize Council Member Monica Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Wesson, thank you for bringing Brenda in. And Brenda, thank you. One of the greatest privileges that we have here is the opportunity to recognize some of the extraordinary Angelenos that we are so blessed to have in our city. Thank you for allowing your voice not to be stunted, but to be emboldened, to say the things that need to be said, and to support the individuals and the survivors whose stories need to be told. It is through our collective efforts that we are going to help be stronger together. So I just want to thank you and salute you for your work, and to everybody that's here today for being part of that extraordinary support system that is going to help make sure that we provide the kind of, that network to protect those survivors and help to strengthen them in their most darkest hours. So again, my thanks to you for your work, for making your voice even stronger and more powerful here in the city of Los Angeles. Thank you all so much for your work.
Okay, let's give it up for Brenda Gutierrez.
Thank you. Let's do that. Now that we have 12 members, let's now reconsider item number 2. It's an ordinance. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Item 2 is now before us. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Very good. Let's see. Looks like we have a presentation from Mr. O'Farrell.
Here in the front, and everyone can gather right behind him.
Okay, help me welcome Councilmember O'Farrell for a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Councilmember David Ryu and I would like to welcome everyone and celebrate because March 31st is the Transgender Day of Visibility, an international event which serves to celebrate the accomplishments and victories of transgender and gender nonconforming people while recognizing the work that is still needed to save trans lives. So please join us in highlighting the collaborative work with the city's Transgender Advisory Council. I would like to thank the TAC for their work to advise City Hall on how to best implement policy programs and projects that tackle the issues that matter most to the transgender community in Los Angeles. Here to speak on behalf of the Transgender Advisory Council is our chair, our friend, and a local hero herself, Karina Samala.
Thank you for that. No, thank you. President of City Council, honorable council members, my fellow Angelinos, good morning. I'm Karina Samala, and I'm proud to be here today to speak on behalf of the Transgender Advisory Council. Before I proceed, I would like to honor my colleagues from the Transgender Advisory Council as well as members of the transgender community. Please stand up. Oh, I think they're here. I'd like to acknowledge our current Transgender Advisory Council members, Maria Roman, Jasmine Creighton, raise your hands, Alexander Lucky Fuller, Tiana Herrera, Sadil Simone Lorena, Gia, Brian Olais, James Wen, not here. Your commitment and dedication to the community does not go unnoticed. Your passion is proud and visible. I also want to thank Councilmember Mitchell Farrell for his efforts to bring visibility to the community by collaborating with TAC, HRC, and various departments and officials. Your unwavering commitment to our community has been vital to maintaining our visibility, and the TAC is forever grateful. Thank you. I'd like also to thank Councilmember Mike Bonin, Nuri Martinez, and all the council members for being such a very strong ally to our community. And to the new committee chair overseeing TAC, Councilmember David Rue. TAC is very much looking forward to working with you and your staff. And also I'd like to congratulate you for getting the Ally Award from the Stony on April 13. Council members, President, and the entire council, we are extremely grateful for your leadership, and I encourage you to continue to collaborate with TAC and the transgender community, especially in your own districts. We're also working diligently with Chief Grimala of LAPD to ensure that violence towards the transgender community is taken seriously. And I hope that we continue our collaboration in making this city a safe place for all transgender people. And I'd like to also acknowledge our staff from HSEED, Francisco Ortega, Jesus Choi Orozco, and Olivia Mitchell, who assist in the TAC body to reach our common goals. We simply cannot do this difficult and necessary work without your help. Our TAC members are vital in advising policy that addresses practices in housing, healthcare, workforce development, and law enforcement in relation to equitable accessibility. Transvisibility is important and relevant today more than ever. So today, we celebrate Transgender Day of Visibility, not only dedicated to celebrating the trans community, but also to raise awareness of the challenges we face locally, nationally, and worldwide. Visibility creates awareness, and through our TAC recommendations, we strive to remain all that our community deserves to be loved, respected, and treated with dignity. Thank you.
Thanks, Karina.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karina. Karina mentioned who the Transgender Advisory Council works with under the umbrella of our Human Relations Commission and the Housing and Community Investment Department. And she mentioned Sandra Cervantes, Olivia Mitchell, who's here. Olivia? There she is. Olivia Mitchell isn't just a staff member, she is an institution here in the city of Los Angeles. And an institution in the making is Francisco Ortega. We've got Chuy Orozca. So thank you for all of your collaboration to make this function very, very well. I also want to thank the Housing and Community Investment Department. The tax community partnerships extend to those in blue as well. And you heard Karina mention B. Gurmala. So please join in thanking our LGBT officers and allies for their work, including Jules Sohn, who is here. Jules. To serve as the liaison between the community and law enforcement, ensuring our safety on the streets and at home. So joining us today is our dear friend, Assistant Chief Beatrice Gurmala of the LAPD. She's the coordinator for the Human Relations and the LGBTQ matters with LAPD, and that is Chief B. Gurmala.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Chief. Welcome.
Good morning. It's always a privilege to be here with you today. Just a few things and thoughts I'd like to share with you. First and foremost, the LAPD must be everyone's police department. And today, representing Chief Michael Moore and the men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department, we stand in solidarity and unity with not only my colleagues, but my dear friends who are surrounding me here today. But we have some sobering things to talk about as well, as we see crimes against members of the transgender community, especially transgender women of color, still challenge us. They are still on the rise. And we need to ensure that the message that hate of any kind, especially against the trans community in the city of Los Angeles, will not be tolerated. It must be reported. If you see something, say something. And we need to make a dent in what we know is still happening and is still being underreported here in the city of Los Angeles. So on this happy and joyful day where we're celebrating the accomplishments of the trans community, I had to say that. But also, I just want to mention quickly the commitment of the department under Chief Moore. We are already training 2,000 sworn and civilian members of the department, and it will be touching all members of the department in LGBTQ cultural competency. And my thanks to Jules Sohn, members of the TAC, Karina Samala, Jasmine Creighton, and Gia, others, everyone here today, too many to mention, who have participated in the creation of that training. It is not LAPD imposing training or their thoughts about training on the men and women of the department. We need to make this relevant and real. And I thank my professors and teachers and trainers here around me today. Also an exciting development. Very soon we will be unveiling the first ever transgender employee guidebook for the Los Angeles Police Department. Thank you to the leadership of the LGBTQ working group, Steve Houchin, the neighborhood prosecutor who is not here today, but also the leadership of Karina Samala. Thank you for your time. Let's make today a joyful day, but please, 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 if you see something, say something out there. We need all eyes and ears on this issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Gurmala. In today's America, bigotry persists, and there's probably no one on earth that knows that better than the average trans person. On this day of visibility, the TAC has chosen to spotlight 3 special honorees, 3 trans men of color, knowing how important it is to recognize their disparity in employment, poverty, sexual assaults, and health care. Before today, perhaps these heroes were unsung, perhaps unknown to you, but to the community, they unapologetically are trans, and they deserve a spotlight. And to introduce our first honoree is Councilmember David Ryu.
Thank you, Councilmember O'Farrell, for your leadership on this matter. I'm bringing this before the City Council this year and every previous year. But today, I have the distinct honor to introduce to you all Jaden Fields. Jaden, come on up. A queer, black, trans, community activist and poet, born and raised right here in Los Angeles. At St. John's Well Child and Family Health Center, Jaden's work saves lives in the trans community. Working in a transgender health program run by transgender people of color, Jaden contacts trans and LGBTQ patients with the medical resources, hormones, and surgery referrals that makes life as a trans person possible. Previously, he worked as a health educator at the Asian Pacific AIDS Intervention Team, led by my good friend, Jerry Candelario, to provide HIV education and trans empowerment for trans people of color. Jaden was also involved in the Midnight Stroll, a monthly outreach program serving the homeless and trans community. I had the honor of joining the Midnight Stroll a few times, including at their first walk in Hollywood, and I could tell you that the work Jaden and so many other heroes do is so crucial, especially given that trans individuals are so much higher at risk of living on the streets. Jaden is also co-founder of Toolbox, a trans masculine support group where the trans community can come together to share and learn from each other and their experiences. It creates a needed space that is healing and affirming of all identities. Jaden has been an essential member of the LGBTQ community and is crucial to our most vulnerable populations here in Los Angeles, and is a rising star for building a safer and more inclusive Los Angeles for the marginalized. Without further delay, here's Jaden Fields.
I just wanted to say thank you so much to the TAC and to all of the council for choosing to uplift Black trans men, especially during Trans Visibility Week. If someone had told me as a child here in Los Angeles that at 28 I would be standing here in City Hall being recognized as a Black trans man doing work for my community, I would not have believed them. I would not have believed that that little Black child could be here and be among so many amazing heroes in the city doing the really important work for a community that's often forgotten. It feels really mind-blowing and a little bit surreal to be amongst the folks who are especially trying to highlight the issues that trans men of color face, because we're often not seen in the larger fight for trans rights. So I feel very honored to be here, and thank you so much for recognizing this work.
Is that? Congratulations. Our next honoree is Rizzy Tamain. Rizzy Tamain is a singer, a licensed therapist, an actor, and has changed countless lives through a grant program that he founded. An immigrant, Rizzy was born and raised in Nigeria. At the age of 8, he approached his parents with the realization of who he was, only to be faced with attempted exorcisms. He was the victim of bullying and harassment, driving him to years of alcohol and drug abuse, contemplating suicide. After studying religion at the Claremont School of Theology, he learned that God is accepting of all people and is 12 years free from alcohol abuse and 14 years clean from drug use. In his best-selling memoir, An Unspoken Compromise, Rizzy shares his spiritual insights, along with details of his journey from his childhood discovery of being trans through his gender transition in his 30s and his eventual reconciliation with his family. In 2012, Rizzy founded the Happy Transgender Center to provide support to trans individuals and their families during the transition process. In addition, Rizzy added the Rizzy Tamain Annual Transgender Surgery Grant to his private practice at the Happy Transgender Center in 2012, and through the center, financial support is provided to others for their gender-confirming surgeries. Rizzy has performed at over 40 Pride festivals and LGBT events in the U.S. and Europe. His single, Feels Good to Be Free, featuring trans star Miss Candace Kane, and his Trump response single, Love Is All We Need, are viral on YouTube. It's about time something else goes viral other than Donald Trump. Rizzy's acting career is also thriving and includes a guest star role on the Emmy-winning Venice the Series. A recurring co-star role on Decker Unclassified airs on Adult Swim Network, and upcoming appearances alongside known actors including action stars Danny Trejo and Romany Malco. Rizzy is currently completing his doctorate in social work at USC. My gosh, Rizzy, how do you do all this? So, without further ado, we welcome Rizzy Tremaine.
Thank you so much.
I'm exhausted.
Hello, everyone. It really is an honor to be here with you all today. I never would have imagined as a little child growing up in northern Nigeria, experiencing severe poverty, and also experiencing gender dysphoria from being trapped in the wrong body, so to say, that I would make it to the United States, or that I would ever be able to afford the gender transition surgeries and hormones needed to live my authentic life, or that I would be here now being honored in this way. I really wouldn't have imagined that in a village where my father was picking up bird feces from the school floor in order to gain an education, where he would walk 20 miles barefooted in order to get food and firewood for us to be sustained. It has been a journey. Through all of the bullying and through all of the addictions, it has been a blessing to end up here in the United States, working with the transgender community and being blessed to be able to return and pay it back. When I did my surgeries, they were not covered by any insurance. So I would sing and I would sell my memoir, and I would save up and I would do my surgeries one at a time till I completed them. And then I looked back and decided that I would do the one thing my dad ingrained so deeply into me, which is that you haven't succeeded until you help someone else. There is no true success if you go it alone. And so I opened this grant, and people would apply. And my wife, Christina, who has been with me now for 13 years, both pre-transition and post-transition, and our Christmas baby, right here, Galaxia. She stood by me through all of it, through every surgery and through every procedure. And I'm just really grateful to be receiving this honor. I'm grateful to Mother Karina and the entire TAC team for bringing this story forward. I think that by sharing our stories is the way that we warm hearts towards the trans community. Thank you so much.
You're right.
Thank you.
And Mike Bonin was unable to be here today, so that's why I'm introducing our third honoree as well. Certainly not last, and this is an honoree that you all want, everyone wants are going to want on their side for obvious reasons. I'm privileged to recognize Patricio Cacahuate Manuel. From Los Angeles, who is of Irish, Mexican, and African descent, underwent gender reassignment surgery, becoming the first boxer in U.S. history to professionally fight first as a woman and later as a man. Now that makes a good fighter. In his professional debut on December 2018, fighting on a Golden Boy Promotions card in Indio, California, Pat defeated Mexican super featherweight Hugo Aguilar 39-37. Was that the score? Or was it the record? I don't know what that is. Anyway, in 12 minutes, after that winning bout, Pat said, "I'm not here for one show or one fight. Boxing is something I love." Pat's story is ultimately an example of what you can do when you believe in yourself and your goals. Pat, while this is not a championship belt, the City of Los Angeles proudly presents you with the Certificate of Recognition. All right, and now to say a few words is our third honoree, Pat Manuel.
All right, thank you all so much for this recognition, for everyone who was a part of it, and I'm especially feel honored to stand in the company of my fellow Black trans men. I really look forward to a day when we as trans people don't have to fight so hard to make our dreams a reality, but until that day comes, I say, put them up. Thank you very much.
There you go. That's good. So obviously, trans is every day of the year, not just one day of the year. So we should be mindful of that, celebrate the fact that Los Angeles believes that people should be exactly who they are, their authentic selves. And that is the promise, and that's our commitment to these fine men and trans people everywhere. So on this Trans Community Day, let's celebrate trans every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell, Mr. Rue, and to the trans community, thank you so much.
Sure.
Our third and final presentation, I'd like to welcome Councilmember Monica Rodriguez to the podium.
There we go. We ready? All right. Thank you. Good morning, colleagues. Every year, communities across the nation recognize March as Smoke Alarm Awareness Month. And this is a critical factor and something that many of us have engaged in with some of our local partners here that I am privileged to have join me today. Smoke detectors are really that lifesaver that so oftentimes we forget about, and we don't often take the moment of checking them to make sure that they're functioning, and we want to make sure that we always raise the awareness. It was an early lesson in my district, just 50 days into office, with some of the largest wildfires that we experienced in the city's history. It's an important reminder that we must take the initiative in our households to help assure that we are protecting families across the city. And so today I am proud to be here and to be joined with our Los Angeles City Fire Department and My Safe LA to recognize this important month. And at this time, I want to go ahead and cue the video so that we can do a little snapshot here of what we're talking about. Thank you. And again, I'm proud to be here, joined by our LA City Fire Deputy Chief Philip Flegel, My Safe LA Executive Director David Barrett, My Safe LA Director of Resilience and Government Affairs Harut Samerjian, and members of the My Safe LA team. If we could please just give them a quick round of applause.
A round of applause. Thank you for keeping our city safe.
Colleagues, we all know that here in California, and particularly here in Los Angeles, given what we've experienced both in my district and I know in the county as well, and different parts of the city, that California wildfires are our new normal. It was shortly after the Creek Fire that in my district shortly after the La Tuna Fire that in my district, in parts of my district in Sylmar, where there were areas that we knew were ready for burn, given the growth and vegetation. We had partnered in my office with My Safe LA and our LA City Fire Department to do community walks and to help distribute and install smoke detectors in areas that we felt were potentially the most vulnerable in our hillsides. It was shortly thereafter with the Creek Fire that in fact those very same communities, those very same neighborhoods that we walked were in the fire line as a result of the Creek Fire. And so this is just a reminder that this is an ongoing practice that we need to engage in throughout all of our communities. And what I am so grateful for is the partnership that we have with My Safe LA and our LA City Fire Department to go out into our neighborhoods. Some of the most vulnerable areas, things that we take for granted so often, was the installation of that smoke detector to make sure that it's functioning so that they can actually be that first notice of concern to our families to help assure that they are going to get out safely. We know that the risk of dying is decreased by 50% if there is a functioning smoke detector in the home. It was unfortunate that, again, just through, there was a couple of incidents in my district where there were 2 individuals that are no longer with us as a result of fires that erupted in their homes, but unfortunately did not have functioning smoke detectors. This is an opportunity this month to remind everyone in the city of Los Angeles that they continue to engage in this practice, that we have partners here with us that will help to provide this resource free of charge. They will do the installation. They will make sure that they are appropriately affixed in all appropriate locations in your home. And it's because of them that we know that we have been successful in saving lives, and I'm grateful for their partnership. So at this time, I'd like to invite our Deputy Chief, Philip Flegel, for a few remarks.
Good morning, honorable council members. My name is Philip Flegel. I'm Deputy Chief with Los Angeles Fire Department Operations Central Bureau. And I just wanted to say on the behalf of Fire Chief Ralph Terrazas and all of the men and women of the Los Angeles Fire Department, we all, and the citizens of Los Angeles, we'd like to thank My Safe LA for all the work and their continued dedication and safety to the citizens of Los Angeles. Due to their continual collaboration with the LAFD, and mostly through their efforts, the citizens of Los Angeles are much safer and more resilient than ever before. The LAFD would also like to commend Councilwoman Rodriguez for her efforts and collaboration in making Smoke Alarm Awareness Month campaign a fruition and come to the city for the 3rd year in a row. But My Safe LA's mission goes far beyond the monthly campaign for smoke alarm awareness. One of their core missions is to teach children, families, and older adults about fire safety, and you saw some of that on the video you just previously saw. Their fire life safety education programs include home fire safety inspections, installing smoke detectors and CO2 detectors during focused canvas events as well. In fact, in 2018, My Safe LA installed over 2,700 smoke alarms and CO2 detectors free of charge to the city of Los Angeles citizens. Their community resiliency programs include workshops on earthquake preparedness, hands-on CPR, firework awareness campaigns, and junior fire inspector programs for 4th and 5th graders. In short, My Safe LA's continued strong engagement continues to help the citizens of Los Angeles have their resiliency increased and be safer. In closing, on the behalf of Fire Chief Ralph Terrazas, I would like to thank everyone from My Safe LA for their commitment, service, and dedication to the citizens of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And also, you know, again, and thank you, Chief, for making mention of the youth programs that they do. I've been fortunate to join one of those programs in my district as well. And it's a really great opportunity. Sometimes that the lessons that the adults need to learn are being taught through our kids, and the presentations are very important at the younger grade levels to help instruct our families when they go home. So it's been a really successful program. And I'd like to bring up the Executive Director of My Safe LA, David Barrett.
Good morning. We're honored every time we have an opportunity to speak to anyone about the importance of fire and life safety in this city. There's an umbrella term that we're starting to use that I think is very important, and it's resilience. We are faced every year with more and more opportunities for things to go wrong. And so if we can teach the people that we live next to, the people in our own homes, and those that we care about resilience and what that means and the responsibilities that go with it, then overall Los Angeles becomes a safer place. One thing I'd like to take a moment to share with everyone here today is that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and the members of our organization that are here with me today all play an important part of that. There's logistics that are required in order to make sure that we identify the right schools, right? 70% of the students in LAUSD schools are Title I. We still need to find how we're going to reach those, and sometimes it's as many as 30,000 kids a year. Chris Neville, who's with us today, is responsible for our logistics, and we're grateful to him. We need to have communications related to that. Todd Lights, who's here today, is very important to that process. And then we count everything, and that means we have to manage the metrics so that we can report to the council, to the mayor, to the fire chief about that. And our administration league is here, who is headed up by Kara Myers, along with Jessica Svengard and Kim Courier. And so everyone who's here today is doing an important part, and I'd especially like to thank our Director of Government Affairs, Harut Harry-Samerjian, for all the work he does with everyone in the Horseshoe. The result of that work is that we are working to save lives. Our CPR program has 2 established saves of students who have completed our CPR training. They've both saved parents who went into cardiac arrest and would most likely not be with us today. For 20 years, up until 2014, the average number of people that would die in fires in Los Angeles as a result of accidental fires was 21. In the last 4 years, that has dropped to an annual average of 12. So we're looking to get it down to 8 in the next couple of years, and obviously 0 is going to be a hard thing for us to reach. But every year that goes by, with your help and with the collaboration that we have with the Los Angeles Fire Department, I think we've got a chance at making a bigger difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you, David. Appreciate that. And again, you know, it's been a wonderful collaboration that I've had the privilege of experiencing in my district, and I want to thank My Safe LA for their incredible work, but I also want to take a minute to thank Harut Samerjian, and congratulate him on his new responsibility and role. He's unfortunately going to be leaving us here in Los Angeles. I know a lot of people know Harut and his activism here in Los Angeles, but Harut has been just accepted a job from the U.S. House of Representatives Committee on Foreign Affairs. Well, he will help shape U.S. foreign affairs policy, so I want to congratulate you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your work as a commissioner as well. We are very proud.
I object to that. I object to Harut leaving us, Madam Chair.
We appreciate your work and your service to the city of Los Angeles and all of the roles that you've had over the course of the years. And so we are very proud of you and congratulate you. And colleagues, with that, I'd like to thank and recognize My Safe LA for their incredible work, and remind everybody, please partner up with them and help get some more smoke detectors in families' homes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Give him a round of applause, and of course to your leadership on public safety. Monica, thank you so much for bringing them to council. Let's give him another round of applause. Thank you.
Come on, guys. Don't be shy. Good. Thank you.
Okay, members, let's now turn to the agenda and take item number 1. We have cards on item 1. Go ahead and open up. Joe Jimenez. Mr. Jimenez, please come forward. Okay, I don't see Mr. Jimenez. How about Eric Previn on item 1, followed by Wayne Spindler.
Thank you. This is item 1.
Okay, hold this time.
Whoa,
Mr.
okay.
Previn, you're going to also have 1 minute of general public comment, okay?
In the same period?
So give him 2 minutes, 1
Okay,
minute
1 minute on the
item
item and one, okay.
and 1 minute on general public.
Okay, I'm talking about item number 1. In Los Angeles today, if you put up a shed like this person did in your backyard to make room for a relative, and your neighbor turns you in, and a Department of Building Safety inspector comes out, you'll have to pay a code violation inspection fee of $356, which must be paid when you have been issued an order to comply. Late penalties combined with the original CVIF will total more than $1,246, and a non-compliance fee of $660 may be assessed if you fail to comply with the order or don't get an extension within 15 days. The penalty for paying late is $2,310. That's what this person got. An investigation fee is collected when a permit is required to comply with the code. You'll pay double the permit fee, but never less than $400. A modification fee is paid if you need extra time to correct the violations. The cost is $333.44, but varies and must be paid in person. Failure to pay any of the assessed fees will result in the department placing a credit-ruining lien on your property. All this comes to at least $5,000 plus the possibility of a lien.
Thank you. 1 minute for general public comment.
Okay, my general public comment, I just want to reference the hashtag visibility and hashtag MeToo presentations, which were deeply moving. And I just want to, recognize that Mr. Blumenfield's not here today, but people come down here who are just ordinary residents who want to talk about, for example, their liens. But if you'll take a quick look, Mr. Buscaino, at your monitor, you'll see that I appear the size of a tiny speck, which seems unfair since, Mr. Wesson, for example, stands up here and he gets one of the most glamorous presentations you've ever seen. He's always surrounded by people. This is not a TV studio, though there are cameras. This is a public meeting, and that's why Harris Dawson felt it was a travesty that we were not providing paper meeting agendas like many of in the public, and they started to put them back. But we need you, Mr. Buscaino, to be the leader and actually write a little note, or get Holly Walcott to wake up and write a little note saying we're going to restore the prior practice. We got to whip things into shape here. It's not appropriate to make the public feel like they're unwelcome in City Hall. And here's the thing. We need to make our trespass warnings.
Thank you. Wayne Spindler, you're up. You pulled a card on 1, so you'll speak 1 minute on item 1, followed by 1 minute general public comment.
Yeah, it'll be 1 minute. All right. Oh, here we go. Marquise Harris Dawson, you fucking cunt! On 1C, $8,000 lien. God, Marquise Harris Dawson, the love child of Greg Smith and Jan Perry, is putting a
Stick to the item. That's your last warning. Stick to the item.
On some poor black family for some little tiny thing. What a fucking puke. I can't believe this man is on this council. Even Jose Huzar can't even do that.
All right, you just forfeited your time. You're not speaking on the item. Give him 1 minute, general public comment.
The liens.
Start his clock.
I'm talking about the liens, you dumb fuck cop. I'm talking about the liens. I talk about the fucking liens, and you let this guy cut me the fuck off illegally. Look at him. Look at this guy, $8,000. Nobody can afford $8,000 for a lien in the 8th district. That's a fucking car. And then you got Eduardo. He sells out CD1 to go to work for fucking Jose Huizar. Never tells us. What a sellout. You broke our hearts. You went to work for Satan. You understand? You're working for Satan. You're working now for Satan. This is not good. Repent, resign, return to the family, return to Gil Cedillo, return to us, please.
Okay, thank you. Any other member of the public like to speak on item number 1? Please come forward now. Did we miss anyone on item number 1? Okay. Hearing none. Madam Clerk?
And the Department of Building and Safety recommends that on 1A, the item be received and filed inasmuch as it was determined to be owner-occupied property, and that 1B be received and filed inasmuch as the lien has been paid in full, and that on 1C, the lien be confirmed at $4 less than the printed amount.
Without objection, that will be the order. So with that, let's now open the roll on item 1 that's before us. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Item 1's approved. Thank you. With that, members, let's now turn to general public comment. I'd like to call up Miss Julie Vanderblock, Karina Soto, Ms. Soto, welcome. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. So today I'm here to speak in favor of a Fair Work Week policy that we're trying to introduce in Los Angeles. I have been a cashier at Staples for 7 years, and during that time, like many other retail workers, I have experienced things like scheduled work hours changing from week to week, and as well as not having an advance notice of my schedule. A Fair Work Week would not only benefit myself, but many countless other retail workers in Los Angeles. We need this policy so we can no longer have to struggle with these issues that we have at work, as well as try to make our lives and our jobs a lot easier in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin Orkin, followed by Susan Isaacs. Mr. Orkin, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, thank you. My name is Justin. I work at the Target in downtown LA, and I'm with the Fair Work Week LA campaign. And I'm also one of the retail workers that were highlighted in the LA Times article on erratic scheduling. I support the Fair Work Week campaign because I should have a consistent and reliable schedule with stable hours. Workers should be able to make requests that get acknowledged and respected for time off, not ignored or deprioritized, and that way they can take care of their responsibilities and spend time with their families. I believe all retail workers should have hours and schedules that support their needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan, good morning, welcome. And followed by Abraham Zavala.
Good morning to everyone. I am a volunteer and a board member of the National Council of Jewish Women Los Angeles, which is also a coalition member of the Fair Work Week campaign for Los Angeles. For 9 years, I worked as a volunteer for the National Council of Jewish Women LA's after-school homework club in underfunded and underserved LA public schools, elementary schools. Many of our students' parents are retail workers. Among those workers who are parents, 45% are locked out of child care centers because their work schedules are unstable and unpredictable. Workers deserve to know when and how long they will work. Last-minute schedule changes deeply impact parents who juggle work and children. Unstable, unpredictable.
Thank you. You can finish your thought. Your time's up.
Unstable, unpredictable work schedules can be a barrier to more long-term goals like pursuing education or a new trade.
Thank you so much. Abraham Zavala, followed by Nabila Sosa. Mr. Zavala, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Abraham Zavala, and I am a trainer and organizer with the Southern California Coalition for Safety and Health. We're a coalition that works with unions, with nonprofits, in order to get workers educated on the health and safety issues in their work environment. In the work we've been doing with retail workers and engaging with other community partners, we've heard various stories of issues of unpredictable pay. Students trying to get through school and trying to plan their weekly, items and trying to get to class. We hear families working 2 jobs, right? Trying to figure out how their income's going to look at the end of the month. So these issues are really issues of the community that we've heard about and concerns that they have. So as an organization, we're here today to support retail workers in their fight to create a fair work policy in the city of Los Angeles. And given that the council has such a progressive record on community issues. As of recently, right, street vending, which was a great decision. This is kind of continuing the work that you guys have been building as a council. So we really hope as an organization you find support for this. It's a really great policy. And thank you for your time. Good morning.
Thank you for your testimony. Nabila Sosa? Nabia? How about General Dogan? Dogan? Please come forward. Is Nabila Sosa here? Nabia Sosa? No? Okay. General will be followed by Craig Roberts.
Oh, really?
Good morning.
So we
Welcome.
all got speaker cards and we'd like to just do it in one. Got some copies to pass out to the floor.
Thank you.
Make sure the mayor get one of them. LA can work hard to get Proposition Triple H passed, and now, with money being spent and not a single person housed, we demand an immediate audit of Triple H funds. On January 29th, City Council passed a motion to require an audit within 30 days. Still no word on that one. In November of 2018, City Controller promised to release an audit by the first week of February 2019. Meanwhile, former CAO Miguel Santana suggested last year that a moratorium be put on the spending money of Triple H. 2 days ago, the Controller's Office informed us that the Triple H audit will not be complete until sometime before the end of 2019. Will there be any Triple H money left by then? So, after your former CAO sounds the alarm and City Council calls for an audit of its own, and the Controller hires a third party to conduct its audit, and the FBI highlights potential improprieties in its Wazar investigation.
Thank you.
Your response, spend the money fast.
Thank you. Your time's up. Craig Roberts. Craig, your time's up, sir. No, we don't do that here, sir. Craig Roberts, you're up for 1 minute. Thank you.
You don't fucking do that here? What you don't do here is listen to the fucking people when they come take their time out of their day to come down here and tell you what the things you should need to be doing already. Giving out accommodations and honorariums to people who are actually doing the work you should be doing in the fucking community. You assholes ought to get your act together. Yeah, that's directed personally at you. Weezar and the rest of you corrupt clowns need to really come together and try and do something to help the homeless and stop all this bullshit of misappropriating Triple H funds and ignoring it and acting like you have no responsibility for it when the Citizens Oversight and Administrative Oversight Committee are all under your purview. Get your acts together, assholes.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Adam Smith. Adam Smith, please come forward. Is there an Eddie H? Adam, good morning.
Good morning. Adam Smith. I'm an organizer with White People for Black Lives. 3 weeks ago this morning, I was at a sanitation sweep in CD11 at the boardwalk. Met a man named David, a black 71-year-old disabled man named David. The LAPD was trying to take his folding chair and his medication, which luckily we were able to save for him. This morning we went down to the same sweep in CD11 on the boardwalk, and David had died earlier this week. Sanitation workers promised they would leave the memorial of plants and flowers that unhoused friends of David had put down on the sidewalk for another week, and as soon as we walked away, they ended up throwing all that shit away. This is the legacy of this city council and Mayor Garcetti, unfortunately. And as colleagues at LA Can just said, y'all didn't need to do more about Triple H. You need to actually get on it and do this audit, because $900 million is now earmarked and none of it's gone to housing yet. We need housing so people like David stop dying on the fucking street.
Thank you, sir. Eddie H., welcome.
Good morning, Councilman. As my colleague stated, we have been requesting an audit of the Triple H funds. We have not received word back. We received word 2 days ago from Galprin's office that this audit would be completed in 2019. As of this moment, that audit is 8 months late. Over $900 million of $1.2 billion has been allocated already. There hasn't been one person housed permanently. We've played with shelters. We've done everything else. Now, you honored the Me Too movement this morning. You should have. You honored the work of people we're doing to protect the trans community this morning. But if you'd actually like to honor them, the largest growing groups of homeless people are women with children fleeing domestic abuse, as well as trans people, LGBT people, on the streets of Los Angeles, because we are playing with money.
Thank you.
I can't wait till you get arrested, Jose.
Is there a Skid Row Dan? No, you already spoke. Audrey George? Please, you're disrupting this meeting. Please see to the door. Your conduct has disrupted this meeting, Mr. Spindler. Sergeants, get him out of here, please. Thank you. Okay, Audrey George. You continue, for the record, Spindler continues to disrupt this meeting. Excuse me, ma'am, let's wait till this disruption is removed from the chambers. Thank you. Thanks for your patience. As he's leaving the chambers, Wayne Spindler continues to disrupt. Audrey, you have 1 minute. Welcome, ma'am. Thanks for your patience.
You are not complying with Triple H, and it's outrageous how overdue you are in conducting a required audit to explain why none of LA's unhoused population has yet been placed in permanent supportive housing. Accountability and transparency are totally lacking, in large part because you shut out critical community organizations such as LA CAN from full participation. You've been called out by LA CAN and activist attorneys about the illegal use of precious and much needed funds, which has provisions that are supposed to prevent you from displacing residents from permanent supportive housing by using buildings already committed to that housing to supposedly be reformatted for Triple H. Meanwhile, everyday homeless folks experience acts by police and outreach staff that criminalize, dehumanize, and brutalize them. An indication of why this problem is so pervasive and persistent.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we now close general public comment. Madam Clerk, what's now before us?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
They have posted and referred.
And the desk is clear.
Thank you. Colleagues, members, any announcements as we enter into the weekend? Any announcements? How about adjourning motions? Any adjourning motions? Okay, seeing none, we are now adjourned. Go forth and serve the people of this great city of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Wilmington and San Pedro have always been the gateway to Catalina since back in the late 1800s. My father, myself, and a friend of mine started Catalina Express along with my brother Tim in 1981. And we came in to actually replace the seaplanes that were at that point going out of service. So what we needed to do was replace that service with fast boats. So we went out, we bought one boat, it was a 50 passenger, and we started out with doing 3 runs a day. Well, about 1 million to 1.2 million people go to and from Catalina on an annual basis. And back in 1981 when we started, I think we carried 3,500 people that year. Both my daughter Amanda and my son Eric, they're all in the business. This building was actually built back in 1966, and it was the seaplane hangar building. They'd take off underneath the Vincent Thomas Bridge. Our goal was really to make it so people felt their trip started when they got here. There's bocce ball courts here located on premises. There's also a putting green. We got fire pits when it's chilly out, and people do seem to feel like they're on their way to Catalina as soon as they walk through the gate. Wilmington used to be the location for the freight service here to the island, and to bring them both onto the same property has been a home run. The Port of Los Angeles has been a real partner in this all the way along. They worked very well with us in trying to come up with a solution for this move. And I think that what we've come up with is one of the best locations we have. When we brought our employees back to this location, we were able to bring 100 employees back this way. Catalina Express employs approximately 325 employees in total, with the vessel crews and administration and ticket sales and the terminal facilities. Avalon Freight Services employs approximately 26 people, with operating the 2 vessels that we have, as well as the warehouse here and on the island. The island is always growing. It's been an exciting part of being not just in passengers, but also in freight now. A normal week of freight going to Catalina Island is 5 days a week, 15 trailers. It's shipping fuel, it's food, it's beverages, it's everything you can imagine that has to go to an island to keep it moving. My favorite hobbies are getting out and going fishing. It's a lot of fun to go out off the island and do some fishing. It's always been known as a fishing paradise. Well, I think the favorite part of Catalina Express for me is working around the water. I've been around the water all my life. We just like to be a big part of this overall Catalina Express family. Our whole team here has worked hard to build what we built. There's no I's here, it's a lot of we's, and we really all enjoy it.
Greatest gym you would want to go to. It's really incredible the quality of the work that's been put into this place. And when you see that, and I was thinking a week or so ago, we saw the Grammys, and you saw the glitz and glamour around the music industry that we have in this city. And it occurred to me that, there's probably a lot of people who were there receiving their Grammys who could probably tell a story about how way back when they were a youth, they were at a turning point